Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Juicebox Podcast.
Hi, my name is. I'm a parent of a type 1 diabetic in Texas.
If this is your first time listening to the Juicebox Podcast and you'd like to hear more, download Apple Podcasts or Spotify, really any audio app at all. Look for the Juicebox Podcast and follow or subscribe. We put out new content every day that you'll enjoy. Want to learn more about your diabetes management? Go to juiceboxpodcast.com up in the menu and look for Bold Beginnings, the Diabetes Pro Tip series, and much more. This podcast is full of collections and series of information that will help you to live better with insulin. Nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan. The episode you're about to listen to was sponsored by Touched by Type 1. Go check them out right now on Facebook, Instagram, and of course at touchedbytype1.org. Check out that programs tab when you get to the website to see all the great things that they're doing for people living with type 1 diabetes. Touchedbytype1.org. Today's episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Eversense 365, the 1-year wear CGM. That's one insertion a year. That's it. And here's a little bonus for you. How about there's no limit on how many friends and family you can share your data with the Eversense Now app. No limits. Eversense.
Hi, my name is. I'm a parent of a type 1 diabetic in Texas.
You're a parent of a type 1 in Texas, but we met in Florida.
Yes, that's right. It was at the Touched by Type 1 conference almost 2 years ago.
Did you travel to Florida for that conference?
Yeah,
awesome.
I did.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. How did you find it?
From you. I had started listening to the podcast a couple months before that, maybe. And one episode, you mentioned it. It was a free conference in Florida, and I checked the dates. It was available, so I booked it. I flew out there and enjoyed the conference. It's great.
That's awesome. That's great. Also, the value there is you can fly into Orlando for less than you can Uber across town. So
yeah,
it's not usually too bad from almost anywhere in the country. Well, it was lovely to meet you. Let me make sure. Say your name again. I want to make sure I say it correctly. Like that?
Yep.
Okay.
It was good.
Awesome. Oh, thank you. And you are the father of a child with type 1.
That's right.
Okay. You have a couple of interesting little bends to your story. I feel like we're going to get to every one of them, so I'm excited about it. Okay. But tell me a little bit first about your child's diagnosis.
Sure. So that was 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago. So 2023 in January. We had all gotten COVID around New Year's, beginning of the year. The whole family got COVID. The little one, who was 4 at the time, about to turn 5, he seemed to have it the worst of us. We didn't really know what was going on. Mm-hmm. As the rest of us were getting better, he seemed to be getting worse. And that's really all we kind of knew. There was a little bit more leading up to that, which, looking back, knowing what I know now, we should have picked up on sooner. It was the frequent thirst, unquenchable thirst, really, and frequent urination had started a couple months earlier and kind of gradually increased over time. It just started out pretty normal, and then like a little bit week by week, he was like drinking more and more water and going to the bathroom more and more often.
Yeah.
And it was such a slow increase that, as it was happening, didn't think much of it. But after a couple of months, like, oh my God, this guy's peeing every 30 minutes. Like, this isn't right.
You're saying then that you think the diabetes symptoms began before the COVID?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they began before the COVID, but the COVID made it worse.
And then?
So then he went into full DKA, which we didn't know. Took him in to an emergency room one day because he had been throwing up. He wasn't able to get up anymore. He wasn't able to drink water anymore. So we took him to the emergency room. Thank God the doctor there knew immediately what it was. The first thing they tested was blood sugar. First reading came up high. He didn't even give a number. It was so high.
Yeah.
So they had to do another test. His blood sugar was 833.
My gosh. How old is he at that point?
He was 4 turning 5. This was 2 days before his birthday.
And he's your youngest, or no? There's a younger one.
He's my youngest. I have another one that's a few years older.
Okay. Well, so what do you think you said, or how did it present that the ER right away said this is type 1 diabetes?
Good question. I was carrying him in, and we didn't really say anything. It was like on site.
Really?
Yeah. He was looking, I hate to say this, but on the verge of death, really. Like he had lost a third of his body weight. He looked like a skeleton with skin on. Like, it was really scary at that point.
What slowed down your ability to seek the help? Was it that you guys were all sick at the same time?
Yeah, we all had COVID, so we thought that's what it was. So we were resting, taking it easy. The day before we went to the ER, my wife actually took him to an urgent care clinic.
Mm-hmm.
They did not check his blood sugar. They heard the symptoms about the COVID-related symptoms. They also heard the symptoms about the thirst and urination. They tested him for COVID and then sent him home with that.
Yeah.
Some basic care instructions, and yeah.
A third of his weight. How much did he lose?
Almost 10 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was down to 11 kilograms when they weighed him. And he would normally have been like 15, I think.
Okay. So you go to like an urgent care. You don't really get much of you probably get it's COVID kind of thing. And then the next day you're all just like, no, he's dying.
Yeah.
When you take him to the ER, do you take him to the ER thinking he's dying from COVID?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. So when the doctor looks at him and says, this is type 1 diabetes, are you relieved or shocked?
Both.
Yeah.
Diabetes hadn't crossed my mind at all. I've heard of diabetes. I'm aware that insulin pumps exist, and it's insulin. I know it's a blood sugar thing and insulin. I'm aware that there's treatment for it. That was kind of where I was at. I didn't really know what the treatment was like or anything. But once I heard diabetes, I did feel relieved. I thought, okay, there's treatment for this. There's something to be done. And we know what it is.
Yeah. It's not this scourge that's going across the planet that nobody seems to understand very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
exactly.
you. Listen, I met your son when I met you. Is that right?
No, you didn't. He didn't go with me.
No. Oh, how do I remember that then?
Oh.
I'm trying to think of why I remember it differently. Oh, that's a shame. My memory is garbage.
You met a lot of people that weekend. It's okay.
I did meet a lot of people. So I guess I'm going to jump around because I know about your story a little bit. But I'm going to jump here for a second. On that day in the ER, you're a married person.
That's right.
How long after that were you not a married person?
It became final 9 months later.
Were you in the midst of getting a divorce during the COVID?
Yes.
Oh, fun.
The day that he went to the ER, I had a meeting with my lawyer. The same day, that morning, I met with my lawyer because we were supposed to go to mediation the next week.
Mm-hmm.
So my lawyer had scheduled a pre-mediation, game planning session with me that morning. So I had been talking to my lawyer that morning, planning how we would handle mediation and all that. We were going to go to mediation 7 days later.
This is like 2023-ish, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So this is not like, oh my gosh, like COVID time. This is 3 years after COVID time. Yeah. Did OG COVID have something to do with you guys getting divorced, or is there another aspect of that? No,
that's a whole other story.
Whole other thing. Okay. All right. It's not like, okay. I just know too many people that when COVID hit, they were like, uh-oh, this is the end right here.
Yeah, we were on the rails before that.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, this is interesting. So did the diagnosis slow the divorce down at all? Like, you're living at home getting divorced. Is that right?
Yeah, we were still living together.
Yeah.
We were separated in the house. So we'd been separated in the house for a couple of years at that point. Divorce had been filed 4 months earlier, and we were still living in the same house together. I was trying to wait out the process, basically. Like, the situation is livable for now. We have separate rooms, separate lives. Like, we take care of the kids. We each take care of our responsibilities. Why shake things up until we have to? Like, okay, we're getting divorced. Our marriage is ending. Fine. It was still to be determined who is going to be moving out, where you're going to move, what's the child custody agreement going to be like, and things like that. So I was trying to get to mediation, see where things were going to land, and then proceed from there.
Okay. So do the kids know all, like the kids are young, but do they understand that? Like we all live together, but we don't?
We didn't explain much going when it was starting, like when we started sleeping in separate bedrooms. I don't think I didn't explain anything to the kids about that. Like mom and dad are just sleeping in different rooms now.
Yeah. That's like regular marriage, except you like said it out loud.
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. Like, I don't want to, like, I'm not trying to dig too far. I'm trying to set up the expectation for how the diabetes gets split up later. That's really what I'm interested in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was part of me that wondered if the shock or the diagnosis, like, pushed you guys together a little bit, or things stayed pretty much the same from there.
We had to work together. We did work together on his treatment. It took both of us early on, literally chasing him around the house to give him an insulin shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one person chasing him, the other one like setting a trap, basically, an ambush. And one person had to hold him down. Sometimes one person had to hold him down while the other one did the shot. Like, that's just how it went at the beginning.
Yeah. You understand what I'm trying to figure out is, did that whole time, did it make you see each other the way you remembered you? Or was that anxiety of that time a thing that drove you? Like, because what am I asking? You've heard people be on the podcast before, right? And like, this time's difficult on their marriage. Did it make your difficult thing more difficult, or did it bring you together, I guess?
Neither.
Okay. You guys were cemented where you were then.
Yeah, we weren't. There was no chance of reconciliation at this point.
Okay.
I was done with the marriage with any chance. I spent years trying to work on reconciliation.
I see.
So at this point, we were able to work together as co-parents, learn about diabetes together, learn to manage together. But and so that did slow down the divorce process, because when he went to the hospital that day, I called my lawyer back and said, cancel mediation. We can't go. Mm-hmm. It was 7 days later, like, he's getting admitted to the ICU. We can't do it. I don't know when he might be out by then, but even if he is, I can't do it.
Yeah. Right. I'm fried. And an hour and a half ago, I thought my kid was dying. So yeah, let's take a pause.
So we put a pause on everything, and we were really focused on the kid for a few months. Mm-hmm. And then after a few months, April-ish, things were settling a little bit. I started to feel like I knew what I was doing. Looking back, I was naive. I had no idea what I was doing. That's when 3 months later, I reached back out to the lawyer and said, okay, things are settling a little bit. Let's get this process moving again.
And does one of you take the reins on the diabetes thing? Because I feel like it's you, but I, of course, don't know your ex, so I don't know. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Eversense 365. And just as the name says, it lasts for a full year. Imagine for a second a CGM with just one sensor placement and one warm-up period every year. Imagine a sensor that has exceptional accuracy over that year and is actually the most accurate CGM in the low range that you can get. What if I told you that this sensor had no risk of falling off or being knocked off? That may seem too good to be true, but I'm not even done telling you about it yet. The Eversense 365 has essentially no compression lows. It features incredibly gentle adhesive for its transmitter. You can take the transmitter off when you don't want to wear your CGM and put it right back on without having to waste the sensor or go through another warm-up period. The app works with iOS and Android, even Apple Watch. You can manage your diabetes instead of your CGM with the Eversense 365. Learn more and get started today at eversensecgm.com/juicebox. 1 year, one CGM.
No, I tried to make it even between us. Mm-hmm. One point of contention we've had kind of started way back then. Because of course, when he was first diagnosed, we didn't have the technology yet. Like, we went home from the hospital with a contour meter and test strips and, Humalog Junior pen, quick pens, that kind of thing. Yeah. And so we were doing finger sticks throughout the day, including overnight. In our co-parenting life, I had kind of set up a precedent of sharing responsibilities in other areas. So when it came to dropping kids at school and picking them up, we split up those duties evenly. When it came to dinner, we split that evenly as well. We took turns making dinner. And the major responsibilities of parenting and taking care of the house, we split as evenly as we could. That's how I wanted it to be. And it helped me to make it clear, who was cooking dinner each night, because early on, sometimes it was the crapshoot and neither of us wanted to cook. So once the diabetes started, I started to see, okay, how can we split this responsibility up? Because he was in daycare at the time. So somebody had to go to the daycare during the day, check on him during lunch, make sure things were being done right, because the daycare was not prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, somebody had to check on him at night, in the middle of the night, 2:00 in the morning. So that ended up becoming how responsibility was getting split. I worked from home, so I worked a mile away from the daycare. It was easy for me to take off at my lunchtime, be there for his lunch, check on him, check his blood sugar, give him insulin as needed, and make sure he ate his food and all that kind of stuff. And that means that I left night times to her. I tried to split that with her initially, and I tried to take some turns waking up in the middle of the night to take care of him, and then realized she was going to wake up anyway, even if I was there, even if I said, I'm going to take care of it tonight, she would also wake up, and then I'd have to try to take care of the kid and also have her looking over my shoulder, which I hated. So
let me tell you something. You've just tapped into one of the things that my wife and I still argue about. Like, if I get up in the middle of the night for something diabetes related and I come back into the room and she's awake, I say to her, if you're up, why am I up? I'm getting up so you can sleep. If you're going to be up, let me sleep and you take care of it. Yeah, no, I gotcha.
So I didn't say this out loud, and maybe I should have, but when I realized she was going to wake up anyway, and lunchtime was going to fall on me because of my proximity to daycare, I quietly decided, okay, I get daytime, she gets nighttime.
Okay.
And that's how I decided we would split it. That became an issue as we proceeded to mediation.
Because it sounded like you were dumping it on her?
Yeah. She made it out to be that I was incapable of taking care of her child at night. Not that I was letting her do it and taking on other responsibilities. There was a bit of a blow up a month later that resulted in me moving out of the house. I don't know yet if I want to get into that story.
Gotcha.
But I ended up moving out suddenly, and we had to get an emergency custody agreement in place. And the only thing she would agree to is I could have our older son every other week, the non-diabetic child. But the diabetic child, she said, you can't have him overnight. And she was really adamant about that.
Okay.
So I for 2 months, when I was my week with the kids, I would go to her house to pick them up in the morning, take the kids to school and daycare, drop them off, and then pick them up in the afternoon, have dinner with them, and then in the evening, take him back to her house, drop him off again, then go back home, put the other kid to bed, wake up, and do it the next day again.
Yeah.
And I did that for 2 months to keep the peace enough to, okay, fine, I want to have some custody of my kids, and I just wanted to get to mediation. Let's get to mediation. Let's get this settled.
That worked for the time being?
It was horrible, but it worked. I got through 2 months, and I barely remember it. So
yeah,
at the time, it felt miserable, but it is what it is, and I got through it.
I don't want you to, I understand the delicacies around talking about a divorce on a podcast and everything. I think I'm getting the vibe from you. And of course, I'm not speaking to her. I don't know her side of it is probably you're a big asshole and everything like that. So I'm sure that everybody has their opinion. But it does sound like, from this part of the conversation that we're having, that there were a lot of times for you to overcome resistance. Who cares why it's there? And that you were trying to accomplish that. It feels like maybe the diabetes thing got used against you a little bit, which is unfortunate, obviously.
Yeah.
Are one of you markedly better at diabetes than the other, or do you both kind of have a handle on it?
That's an interesting question also, because we would both say, yes, I'm better. I'm pretty sure.
How long were you guys married before you decided not to be married anymore?
10 years. We got married in 2012. And divorced, so 11 years by the time it was final.
When did you stop liking each other if you got married in 2011? 2013? It sounds like you got Sounds like you have a fair amount of animosity, the both of you.
Yeah, there was the last 5 years were pretty rough.
I'm sorry. Sucks.
That's okay.
Yeah, no. What am I saying? I was going to say I grew up with in a divorced family, but I'm married. I know what you're talking about. Listen, I'm married almost 30 years.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I bet you there's not much difference between your marriage and my marriage. Just my wife and I are more hard-headed than you guys were.
Yeah. I was willing to try to make things work. That's what I wanted. I wanted to work out the issues, to figure out how to get past it and reconcile somehow. She was adamant against that.
Something was broken for her. It wasn't getting fixed. Now, listen, the other thing in your notes, does it factor into this or does it not fit here?
We can get to that.
Okay.
I think I can get there.
Okay. Keep going then. So yeah, please go on.
The mediation. We got to mediation and she was still sticking to that point that I can't have the diabetic child overnight. We managed to agree to everything else. Custody for the other child, no problem. 50-50 custody. Assets, house, investments, whatever. We made a list. We had a full list. We just put stuff in her column, stuff in my column, and made it as even as we could and agreed to that. Mm-hmm. All the details were worked out except for this one. She did not want me to have overnights with the diabetic child.
Gotcha.
And it took all day on that one issue.
What were the arguments against?
He said that I could not wake up for a low at night. She said that his numbers were bad when he was with me. Granted, we were 6 months into the diagnosis.
Right.
I had maybe started listening to the podcast. Maybe not yet. No, actually, no, I didn't because I learned about it 2 weeks later.
Gotcha.
I learned about it from diabetes camp. So I hadn't started listening to the podcast yet. We knew what the doctor had told us. I knew the insulin to carb ratio and the insulin sensitivity factor. I knew how to do the math. I knew about checking blood sugar. We had a Dexcom by then and all that. So we didn't have the insulin pump yet. That came later. So I knew the basics, but there's so much variability to this that I've learned since then. Back then I can remember saying I understand this. I know what I'm doing, but now almost 2 years later, they're like, I didn't.
Yeah, you had
I barely knew.
You had a 6 month understanding of it.
Yeah, I had a 6 month understanding. Yeah.
But is it fair to say that so did she?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would agree. Yes.
Yeah. It's not like she was rocketed ahead of your knowledge somehow.
No.
Okay.
No, and that's what I remember talking to the mediator about, because he would go back and forth. And he walked into the room one time. He said, I remember him saying to me, she says his numbers are all screwed up when he's with you. And I pulled out my phone. I pulled out the app we were using to track his numbers. We used to use this app for logging food and insulin shots and things like that, mm-hmm. and his blood sugar when we at meal times. And I pulled out the phone and I said, okay, look, 2 days ago, he was with her at her house under her care. Breakfast time, his blood sugar was 240. Lunchtime, his blood sugar, and she gave him insulin for it. She gave him this much insulin. Lunchtime, he was still over 200. And that particular day, I guess coincidentally, was kind of a crappy day mm-hmm. for his blood sugar. But it was under her care. I was looking at what she did, and I would have done the same thing. I don't think I would have done anything different. But his blood sugar was still high. Yeah,
now you're in that horrible situation where you're like, look, here's an instance based on how you're measuring this that she didn't do a good job. But let me be honest and tell you, I wouldn't have done anything different than she was doing. This thing is just variable. And to try to say that one of us is better than the other is ridiculous.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's the point I made to him. Good. And with him seeing the chart like that, he got it. But it took a few more hours before what finally did it was, because the mediator had been going back and forth between us. We were in different rooms in the building.
Yeah. I'm not laughing, but it's kind of hilarious. But I know what you
the mediator was going back and forth. And towards the end of the day, he's like, I have a Hail Mary. I have an idea. Let's get you in the room with with her and her lawyer. All of us sit down at the same table and let me ask you about the diabetes. Because I had already spent the day teaching him about diabetes management as much as I knew. And so we did that. So we all sat down in a room. He asked me how I managed diabetes. I explained again about insulin to carb ratios and measuring blood sugar and all the basic stuff you learn at the beginning. And the lawyer, her lawyer, also asked me a few questions about how I manage and all of that. And then after that conversation, their attitude changed. I don't know what happened in the other room, but after
You're a classic divorced dad. The way you are so kind when you're talking, because I feel like I know what happened. It sounds like they went in the other room and went like, "Hey, I think you might be full of shit here because this all now that we understand it better seems like this." But you don't have to say that. That's just how it seems to me from the story.
That could have been the other thing that crossed my mind is like, hey, we don't want to put him on a stand. He actually sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah. We maybe let's just be smart about this, or we're going to cause ourselves a different problem somewhere else.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
That's what I was thinking. Because I do speak well, like, and I knew what I was talking about. I could rattle everything off the top of my head and explain things, and so I speak well.
Yeah. I would love to be in a mediation, not for this because this sounds horrible, but like I would love to argue about something, anything really. Sounds like it would be awesome. Not if it's about your personal life, but
the mediation was so boring though. Like we were sitting in a room, the mediator would come talk to us for a little bit and get our side and like, okay, you got your list of assets and things and get your side of the story, then go back to the other room and talk to them for a while. And I was just hanging out by a lawyer, just waiting. Like,
what's it like buying a house when you already own a house? Is it the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
I haven't bought a house yet. I've been renting for the last couple of years.
Okay.
I'm starting to think about it, especially because a couple of years ago, mortgage rates were terrible.
Yeah. That wasn't the time.
Oh, that's the one thing. When we were still married, when COVID hit, interest rates plummeted, right? So I got our house refinanced and got us a mortgage rate, I want to say under 2%.
Oh, a joy, except it's not your house anymore.
Not anymore. She got the house.
Oh my gosh. The worst.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking now. Like, am I going to buy a house?
Giving a house to somebody, but yeah, you can imagine it. I'm thinking about it. It's breaking my heart. Just terrible.
Like, I lost that 2% interest rate.
That's exactly the part that would bother me. I'd be like, but I got such a nice rate. Yeah, good for you, by the way. Nice refinance. Good catch.
Yeah, it was good timing.
I refinanced during COVID too. I saw it coming. I was like, hey, get some free money. Yeah. Okay, so you get through mediation and now you've got a rhythm setting. Now the kid can stay with you. Like, so what do you do? How do you set it up?
At the time we were doing 1 week on with both kids, 1 week without the kids. Like, so both kids are with me for a week, both kids are with her for a week. Mm-hmm. We did that for about a year. We've changed to a slightly different schedule since then. But we were getting to that rhythm of, okay, I have both kids for a week, managing the diabetes. When the kid's with me, it's all on me. I was doing everything, waking up at night, daytime checks. Like around when the school year started, we also got the Omnipod. Mm-hmm. They were starting on the Omnipod. I was the one pushing for the Omnipod, or at least some insulin pump. I was open to anything at that point. If you wanted Omnipod for it being tubeless, fine with me. I don't really care. Yeah. Although I am interested in Tandem's algorithm, I'm hopeful for Omnipod's next algorithm, because the current algorithm I think is not aggressive enough.
You want Omnipod 5 to be more aggressive
with highs, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that enough to make you switch?
If I was making the decision alone, I would probably switch.
Okay.
I would probably try Loop.
Oh, okay. Move to a DIY.
I could see either doing Loop or iLet. Like, right. Either give me all the controls in the world or give me none of them and do everything.
Oh, break that down for me. Tell me how, because that's two pretty opposite feelings. So, yeah,
if it works well, if it works the way they say it does, and it doesn't require input, and it's easy to manage, that's a dream. Like I want the diabetes to not take up so much time and energy and focus.
Sure.
Like that's ideal for the pump to just do everything by itself. And we just live our lives. Mm-hmm. Like when they get the bihormonal pump, I'm going to start pushing for it.
Okay. Your imagination is that in the future, iLet has a bihormonal pump that can bring up a low and maybe has a more aggressive algorithm that's shooting closer to 6 than to 7. And that's what then it's kind of hands free.
Yeah.
Much more so.
Yeah. But I could also see doing the management and the hands-on, the Loop, being able to like bolus remotely is interesting to me. Like, because at school his blood sugar runs too high and they don't do enough to take care of it sometimes. So
it's hard for me to remember sometimes that you're talking about like a 6-year-old and I'm talking about a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
The rest of what you said tracks for me as well. Like, I think if you told Arden that a tubeless pump had the ability to stop her from being low and all she had to do was tell it, like, this is a normal meal. I mean, I don't see a world where she wouldn't say, yeah, let's try that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm glad people are chasing everything. And I want to say, I agree with you. I think Omnipod should try to make their algorithm more aggressive.
I've had some interesting conversations with the reps about that.
I'm sure everybody feels that way. Just in the end, the way it addresses highs is a little slow, and that gets you higher highs and longer to come back down. And we all know the pump can do it because people using a DIY version of an algorithm are using it with an Omnipod, and it's working great. So
right, exactly. Yeah. So we've settled into this routine where I have him for half the time and I'm taking care of him, and she has him for half the time and she's taking care of him. I've learned a lot from listening to you and Jenny and Erica and all the other guests you've had on the show. I haven't listened to every episode, listened to a lot, but I have learned so much more about how to deal with this, how to count carbs, and I don't even barely even count carbs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more just look at the food and guess kind of thing. I took the kids to the Renaissance Fair on the weekend.
Okay. We
were having lunch and my kid got steak on a stick. Okay. What am I doing for steak on a stick? I took a guess. Or gave him like a unit or something. I don't remember exactly. It's like, all right, well, let's just see how this goes. And it ended up working out fine.
Yeah. You were able to cover the protein and any maybe fat that was in there. And it's awesome. I'm going to guess the answer is no to this, but have you ever broached the subject of listening to the podcast with your ex?
I mentioned it. She said she's listened to it once or twice. Got the feeling she doesn't like it.
Oh, nobody likes me.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's fine.
Sorry.
No, don't worry about it. I mean.
And so I've listened to the podcast. I've learned so much more about how to manage. So I've learned to manage highs pretty well. Where my ex-wife has concerns is she feels like I end up with too many lows, too many very lows. That's what I get in trouble for at the endocrinologist appointments. We go to the appointments together, by the way.
Oh, awesome. What do we call low and very low? What are those numbers?
Low is under 70, very low is under 55.
Okay. Oh my God. You just unlocked a fear. Me having to go to an endocrinologist appointment with my ex. I was like, that doesn't, I'm sure for her, by the way, as well. But I'm just saying, like, that does not sound fun.
We go to every appointment together. We always have.
Okay.
And so she gets concerned about the lows, especially overnight lows. She will call me in the middle of the night if his blood sugar goes too low. I have a sugar pixel on my nightstand. It wakes me up. The vibration puck is under my pillow. I'm already awake. I wake up, I take care of it, but she will usually call me anyway in the middle of the night if there's a low. And when I say there's a lot of lows, overall, long-term, the chart of how much he's in range, how much he's low and all that, it's about 1% in the very low category and maybe 3 or 4% in the low category.
I mean, you're telling me that 3 or 4% of the time he's between 55 and 70 and 1% of the time he's under 55?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like everybody who has diabetes to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they get on my case about that.
Awesome.
Ton
of fun.
But I managed to keep him in range 75, 80% of the time, usually.
Yeah.
Then I look at her charts look at when she has him. She does very good with lows and very lows. Like sometimes no very lows, sometimes no lows even.
Is there a but here?
Yes, of course. But
it's because he's always 220.
Not 220, but like 160.
Oh, okay.
But 160, and then a lot of excursions up to 220. He's with her. He's very high, maybe 15% of the time, and then high like 25% of the time.
And you?
Very high. It's like 5% and high like 10%, something like that. If all the numbers add up.
I mean, I feel like we know which side of this argument I'm on, but okay.
That gets to why I kind of wish Omnipod was more aggressive, because I don't really know how she manages highs. I get the feeling she lets the Omnipod deal with it.
Oh, I see.
And I don't agree with that. I try to prevent a high as soon as I see it start.
Yeah, so it's just two differences in theory right there. Like she's like, it'll go up and come back, and you're like, I can stop it from going up.
Yes.
So if you got a little better at getting ahead of the lows, nobody could bitch at you anymore. And I don't mean like,
I've been I've been trying that. I'm trying to work on that. Yeah.
Also, I want to say I didn't use bitch at you as like a gender thing. Just,
Yeah. That's for the other listeners who are going to write reviews, right?
Yeah. I don't want to. I'm not a misogynist. I bitch at people all the time. Okay, like that's yeah. I just want to be clear. All right. Wow. Boy, this sucks.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But it also, joking aside, it sounds like you guys are doing a really reasonable job. Like in the end, the kid's doing well.
Yeah, his A1C is in the low sevens, I think 7.3 last time.
Yeah. What's the offset there? What's his A1C if he's with you for a week versus her with a week?
I don't know how to calculate that, but if I had to guess, probably 1% lower with me, 1% higher with her.
Okay. So you're offsetting. You think if he was with her constantly, he'd have more of a high 7?
High 7, maybe an 8.
An 8. You're offsetting. There's no way to ask him how he feels.
He's 7 now.
Yeah. You don't know.
So I'm trying to work with him on, hey, when your phone beeps, like, hey, check it.
Yeah, good luck. I'm still working on that.
At home, like he checks his numbers with me. Like when his phone beeps, he'll check his numbers and he'll tell me what the number is. Like, okay, it's a little high. Why don't you check the Omnipod controller? Press use sensor. Tell me if it thinks you should get insulin.
Mm-hmm.
He does it. It says 0.15. All right, go for it. Do that.
Yeah.
I want to get him in the habit of like, okay, he's high. Just see what Omnipod wants to do and do that. Like, that'll be a good starting point.
Yeah. Oh, it would be awesome. But there are people listening who've had diabetes for 35 years, just heard you say that and go, yeah, I'm still working on that too. That's an ongoing battle, a human battle, really. Listen, I think you guys should be proud of how it's going. I've interviewed divorced people that don't go nearly as well. So you're handling it well. Also, you guys have a certain kind of disposition that you were able to be divorced but stay in the house for that long together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was pretty fine with it. She was pretty angry a lot of the time.
Was that a financial thing? Is that the reason you did it?
I didn't want to be away from my kids.
Yeah.
And I also worked from home. At that point, even when the divorce started, I was like, I want the house because I work here. And I didn't want to move. And I wanted that 2% interest rate.
Yeah. You're like, okay. I mean, I get the vibe. I
bought solar panels back in 2017.
God damn it. I bought solar panels.
Yeah. And honestly, like when COVID started, everybody had to work from home and I haven't been forced to go back yet. So I was still working from home. I work here. This is my office. I want to stay.
Yeah. What was the level of, if I'm wrong about this, just set me straight or tell me it's none of my business. But am I getting the vibe that you came home from work one day, which is to say walked out of a room and somebody looked at you and said, I don't want to be married anymore. And you were like, what? Was that how it happened?
No,
or no, it wasn't like that. You saw it coming.
I was an asshole. I had a lot of problems.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. Look at you trying to get the ladies on your side with that statement. Very well done, Raul. Yeah. They're like, every woman listening right now is like, I would just one day like some guy to walk into a room and just admit that he's an asshole.
Yeah. And I was walking through life, not really thinking about anything, focused on myself, a very selfish, self-centered person. And there were difficulties in our marriage because of that. Yeah. And I decided to start working on myself. So this leads to the other topic. I was never a heavy drinker except back in college, but I had other issues going on that led me to 12-step recovery programs. And doing that, I also realized I'm an alcoholic. So I've been sober 7 years now. Mm-hmm. And those difficulties that I caused 7 years ago, she was not able to get past. Culturally,
are you guys the same background?
No.
I knew it. Wait. Yeah. Stop. I knew it. Oh my God. Can I generalize for a minute?
Go for it.
Okay. You're of Indian descent, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you talked about being very like, I'm going to open up a can of worms here for people who think I'm generalizing, but I have a lot of Indian friends. So give me a minute. When you talked about just being focused on yourself, like I have to admit, I did not know your background right away. Like I know you, like I see what you look like and everything, but let's be honest, you're a little fluid. You could be a couple of things. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Visually. So, but when you said I was very focused on myself, and then when the addiction thing was drinking, I was like, oh, he's Indian. And then when she pushed back on you being too focused on yourself, I thought she's not. because culturally, that's very acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, am I wrong about any of that?
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah, like Indian women, generally speaking, expect that from their husbands on some level.
Yeah, divorce is very rare in India.
Right.
My parents are divorced.
Oh, really?
Which is, I can't think of anyone else in the family that's divorced except my parents and me.
Do you think it was because your dad was an asshole, or what do you what do you think it was?
Oh, the story that I got growing up was that dad had an affair.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
I don't know the truth. I don't know.
Oh,
I just overheard things from mom, and to this day, I don't really know. He did marry the woman that he supposedly had an affair with, so I don't know.
fair enough.
But
People's lives
that's
are
not my story to tell.
No, but people's lives are so interesting. Talk about a little bit about what that was. Like, were you like work focused, or was it something? No, it was very inward. And drinking, you said?
Yeah, my primary addiction is pornography.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes I say you're the first person to say that on the podcast.
Okay.
I'm saying it again, but that's very honest. I appreciate that. So, and that was something she was aware of?
Yeah, but she didn't know how bad it was.
I see. Let me say again how valuable it is for you to be that honest, because I know you online. I see how much that kid and your family means to you and everything. And I think that people will be like, oh, drinking, I get it. Like, you know what I mean? But then also you're being very like, it's brave, I guess, to say that, because that's the thing people aren't going to go like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah. How does that separate you from your family? Just a lot of alone time, basically?
Yeah. I'm very focused on the content on my phone.
Wow. When did that start, do you think?
Oh, I was exposed to pornography when I was like 8 years old, and it probably started then.
Too young, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's because of how old are you?
Oh, it was very similar to a story I heard you tell recently. I'm 2 months behind on the podcast.
Oh, Magazines in the Woods?
You talked about the cable box.
Oh, the cable box. Oh, yeah.
That's what it was for me too.
Wow.
Figured out we had the black box cable box, but the channel was blocked. Figured out if you go to the channel above, but put the TV on channel 2 instead of channel 3, then it comes in all blurry.
Mm-hmm. Did you figure out that if you slide the plastic card through the top, move it around, you could make it come in better?
No, never figured that out.
Maybe that was specific to ours. Yeah. I also had the story of, which I still feel stupid for, but we found the books, like, the books. We found pornography in the woods, like some kids had hidden it out there. And we were so young, we told our parents. And now I look back and I realized my dad probably walked out in the woods and was like, oh, awesome. And like, is it a thing you can joke about now? Like, how far past it are you? And what's the process to get through it?
Yeah, I joke about it. I started a 12-step recovery program. That led to me doing other recovery work, and a couple of years into me trying to change my behaviors, my life, she was tired of it, I don't know. I couldn't fully tell you what was going on with her. I can tell you I was trying to change.
Yeah.
I was aware that I had problems. 12-step programs, they're a lot of work.
Right.
They really teach you how to look inward. So I was starting that process. I was pretty new to it.
Yeah. And she had can I ask, did it keep you from being intimate with her?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got you.
It was easier.
Oh, than having to deal with somebody else's emotions to get to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you figure out about your personality that let you slip farther down that road than other people do?
I have a hole in me that I keep trying to fill with something else.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in college, when I was like a young adult, that was alcohol. I was drinking. I drank a lot. Later, when pornography became ubiquitous,
it really is
readily available,
yeah,
I switched. And what it comes down to is there's something in me that I'm not happy with, that I feel incomplete, and I keep trying to fill the void with something else. And I have a tendency to just reach for anything that feels better in the moment.
I see.
It was alcohol, it was porn, it was video games sometimes, it was whatever. It was people sometimes. It was my wife sometimes. It was work sometimes. Like sometimes work filled the void.
Yeah.
But I've learned that nothing fills the void. nothing in this world fills the void.
Did you ever get the opportunity to ask your dad about it?
A little bit. When I was getting divorced, I called my dad and asked some questions, but that's when I started questioning and my own recollection of events, because he told stories differently than I remember them.
Yeah.
And I was a kid. I don't know if my memory is correct. I don't know if his memory is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And that left me like starting to question even the story of their divorce. I don't know, but I haven't really got farther into it.
Yeah.
I don't have a good relationship with either of my parents right now.
I'm sorry. I'll tell you that, my parents got divorced when I was 13. My dad had been cheating on my mom like for a decade. So it was easy to just paint him with that brush and, there it is. And I'm sure that's how my mom felt and everything. But, you meet my dad 20 years later and he talks about being married after I've been married for 15 years. And I'm like, some of that stuff he's saying sounds reasonable. And then you start realizing that nothing my mom said was incorrect. Nothing my dad said was incorrect. They were just two different people who had two different perspectives in a personal relationship. And like, if I get your ex on here right now, she's going to go, yeah, well, my ex-husband was addicted to porn and he ignored us. And I'm going to go, oh, yeah, she's got her perspective and her life too, which is what I think makes those mediations so difficult, because neither of you are wrong while you're in there talking. And yet you have to come to some sort of an agreement. That's tough. Like that's tough stuff. I was just wondering if your dad maybe had some similar gaps in his psychological health that maybe you identified with, but I guess you didn't get to that with him.
Yeah, I don't really know on that part.
Yeah, I understand. So what do you fill it with now?
I guess recovery work.
Oh, I wish you would have said meth. That would have been hilarious. But
I go to meetings every day. I have friends in my recovery programs, and
good for you.
Try to keep working on that. And I fill it with my kids. I fill it with I've developed new friends and trying to get out more. I do volunteer work on the weekends. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to find ways to fill the time, and they're enjoyable. Do
you drink anymore or not at all?
No, sober 7.5 years.
So then my follow-up question to that is does the porn thing follow the same pathway? Like, is a little not okay? Or can you be California sober with weed? Like you are with weed with porn?
I don't know. It's ongoing struggles.
I got you.
It's tough.
Yeah. So it's not as easy as just like, well, I just won't do that ever again.
Yeah. It's not quite. It's very easy to access.
And slippery slopey when you...
A little bit, yeah.
I didn't mean whatever pun is in that.
Sure, yes.
It could be a slippery slope.
Yes.
How about that? Man, that's tough. Are you dating anybody?
No.
Is that a thing that occurs to you to try?
I'm on dating apps. I'm trying to get myself out there. Like, that's something I was going to ask you. Something I was thinking about bringing up, because you do your I Don't Understand series. I don't understand how to date as a 39-year-old is divorced with kids. Like, I just don't understand.
What you're well, listen, you got to find somebody who's as dinged up as you are, because they'll also be accepting. You understand? Like, I'm not trying to be funny. Like, we were, God, how much of this am I going to say?
I'm on a dating app for single parents.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, you're not going to go pick up a Kardashian at this point. You know what I mean? Like, right. Like people are... No one listened to this. I probably don't know what I'm talking about, but people make allowances when they choose other people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're 6'5" and chiseled out of stone and you got an IQ in the 120s and you're making $200 a year, you don't go to Arby's and ask out the girl making the fries.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way. Could you meet her somewhere and fall in love with her? You absolutely could. But like, that's just not how people do things. So if 100 is full, and you got to take a point off for everything that people find undesirable, you've got to score. You got to go find somebody with a similar score to yours.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Otherwise, they'll be like, why would I do this with you? I could maybe go do it with somebody else. It's a weird way to think about people, but I think it's right. I think that's how we make decisions on stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of get it. So I'm trying to do things to keep myself busy, try to put myself in new places where I can meet new people and The dating apps are terrible.
Have you ever figured thinking of going the other way? Why don't you jump up in the dating app and be like, listen, I've got a pretty significant porn addiction. If you do too, I think we'd be perfect together. Like you just go on like a bender together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to dive off the deep end.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It really is that serious, huh? Yeah, I'm making light of it, but it's like, because what I'm thinking is like, if that was a drinking thing, like you wouldn't go on the app and go, look, I'm a recovering alcoholic, but I don't feel like pushing back anymore. Like, who wants to dive off a cliff with me? At the end there, it ruins your life. It ruins your liver. It ruins all those kinds of things. But the porn thing's going to ruin something too, isn't it?
Yeah, it ruins your spirit.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Wow. Just demoralizing.
Well, at least for me, it's such, like you said, a slippery slope that nothing else matters eventually.
Oh, like a black hole where you just like everything else is gone, just porn.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Does it ramp up? Like, you start off with you start off with weed, then you go to coke, then you go to like I mean, are there points where you're typing in and you're like, I can't believe I'm even trying to figure out if these words go together? Yeah,
of course.
Oh, that sucks, man. I'm sorry. Yeah. No. It's probably tough to get a hug from somebody over this, huh?
Yeah. Well,
that 12-step meeting must be dodgy as am I wrong?
Yeah. I ended up in a different program. As I was trying to get better, she came to me and admitted to her own indiscretions.
Oh no, your wife was cheating?
Yeah.
Oh, in response to you ignoring her? Or not even?
She was tired of feeling angry at me, and that was how she could feel better.
Wow. So much easier for a woman to find casual sex than a guy. That's for sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because you were like, how do I date again? The answer is be a lady. That's the simple way. Yeah, right. Oh, how long was that going on? More importantly, forget that. Did she tell you after you were divorced? No. During the marriage. Did it, even though you were ignoring her, did it hurt that she did something equally crappy to you?
At this point, I was trying to get better. So yes, it hurt a lot.
Oh.
I was in recovery programs by then.
Why did she tell you?
Oh, she was asking for permission.
Oh, she's like, I did this. I want to do it more. Be cool with it.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, geez. I thought maybe, like, I wasn't sure if she was trying to hurt you or if she was trying to unburden herself. I couldn't figure out which it is.
I don't know either.
Yeah, that's tough. The only reason I can imagine to go to the person to tell them is to either unburden my guilt or to hurt them. Like, I can't see another reason. Yeah.
And to this day, I don't really know what she did or anything like that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I know what she asked for. I know what she told me, but I don't know what was really going on.
Do you care at this point, years later?
Sometimes.
Wow. That sucks too.
I try not to, because the conclusion I came to, because I ended up in a recovery program for people who are cheated on, basically, to put it short. Most people in the program are that way. I was working on it from that angle, and came to a point where I realized it didn't matter what happened in the past. What mattered is, where is she now and what does she want for the future?
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to work on our communication and build trust between us or not? If you are, great. Let's just put the past behind us and let's work things out. If you're not, well, whatever happened doesn't matter anyway. Let's just end this.
Yeah. Do you wish you guys would have tried harder? Like, do you wish you would have been interested? Or do you do? You think it was salvageable?
I think so. Yeah, I know people in my recovery programs who've been through so much worse and gotten through it together.
Man, you're a good dude, which is a weird thing to say after you've admitted all this stuff. But you feel like you have a good soul. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you feel that way about yourself? Do you think you're like an internally kind person?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too. That's interesting. Yeah, you don't want to paint people by the things they've done or been drawn into or mistakes they've made sometimes. Like, I think you just need to see that who you are and that there are just a lot of roadblocks between you and being the person you want to be every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this as simple as like you're in therapy? Like you look back, did you just like growing up just not fulfilled somehow from your parents?
I don't know if it's that simple. That plays into it. I mean, you talked about the ACEs with Erica.
Yeah.
That's part of it, of course. I don't know if it's all the whole story. Neglect growing up. I didn't feel like my parents were around enough, especially after the divorce. And yeah, there was some of that.
Did you have a classic Indian upbringing? Like, did you leave school, go to more school, come home, eat, get up, go to school?
Well, I grew up in LA, so lived in white suburbs. Yeah, so no, not really.
Around here, where I live, I mean, every Indian kid's got the same look on their face, which is, I can't believe I know how to code and I'm 11. And, a lot of expectation for them. Like a lot.
Yeah, there were some expectations, but not a lot. I wouldn't say a lot. Although, I have a chip on my shoulder because I always felt like I wasn't good enough. I don't know if I could say there was a lot of expectations, but it was always do better.
You weren't meeting them no matter what they were, as far as they were concerned.
Basically, yeah. It was a little bit of like, all right, good job, you got an A on the test. Next time, get 100.
Mm-hmm. Are your parents first generation or second?
I was the firstborn in the country.
You were the firstborn
in the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they made it. They were like, we did it. We got here. Like, now go take advantage of all this stuff that we're supposed to do now.
Yeah.
Do better than me. Don't let us down. Yeah. That's and then they get divorced and then your time is split. So that must weigh on you. Let's be a bummer here for a second. That's got to weigh on you incredibly. Like you don't want your kids to feel that way. So what do you?
Absolutely. Yeah. That was part of why I was so adamant on trying to work things out. I remember how hard that was for me as a kid, and I didn't want to put my kids through that.
Yeah. Your story makes more sense as we dig into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. What do you do? And my first question is your ex still angry at you, or is that part over for her?
Seems like she's still angry. Yeah, not sure.
I would be. I want to be clear. I'd still be angry at you, but like you're trying to get to this goal of not letting this thing happen to your kids, but she does not have that experience growing up in your life to know that that's a thing to worry about, or does she?
Her parents are divorced as well.
All right, so you guys are both on the same page about this part then.
Her story is a little bit different. The parts that I know, what I see happening in our interactions now is it feels to me like she projects her feelings and her attitudes towards her father onto me.
Mm-hmm.
Her father passed a long time ago before I ever met her, so I never had a chance to meet him. She has told me that he was addicted to everything, alcohol, drugs, sex, everything. And he left, or I'm not totally sure on the divorce story, but when they got divorced, he was gone. He was out of her life, and he never got better. He was an addict till he died.
Yeah.
When we interact, I feel like she's projecting her feelings toward him onto me, and sees me that same way, that I'm an addict. I'm always going to be an addict. I'm never going to get better.
I think people do that in general. It's just, that's such a big topic. It's probably more impactful. Like, I think, I mean, listen, I'm from a divorced household and I'm adopted, right? So my wife had to deal with the fact that like anytime anyone argued when we were first together, I thought everything was over.
Yeah.
So I'd panic that way because like, I'd be like, oh no, we're disagreeing about something. Talk about slippery slopes. We're all going to move out. No one's going to know each other. We're all going to we're going to be broke and living in crappy places and not grow up well. Yeah. Like I was going to speed forward into that thought. My wife told me a story a long time ago, and it seems to encapsulate mostly how she feels, like how her parents treated her, right? Like about big stuff. But she said that there was this day that her dad was replacing a light switch and she wanted to help. And so he let her screw the light switch cover on. And I've probably told this once before on the podcast, but as we all know, like the cover on a light switch only goes on one way. You can't fit it in correctly. It literally goes around the switch. If the screws go in, it's on correctly. So he let her do that, and she screwed in the screws, and the light switch was on. And then in front of her, he unscrewed them and then put them back on.
Huh.
If you ask me one of the things my wife like still hurts about inside from growing up, it's that idea of like she's never doing a good enough job. Like that thing. So that's the light switch thing is a story, but like she got that from her parents a lot. Same thing as you. You got a 98. Why wasn't it 101? Like that kind of stuff. That just sticks to you. It just does. And then you see it in other people, whether it's there or not, especially when you're married. Like you look up and you go, why are you doing this? Like, you think like, why are you making me feel that way? But you don't realize you just feel that way from when you were 8 and it's just not going away. And so you start seeing it where sometimes it doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
And being alive is difficult. I'm not going to say otherwise.
Yeah.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 39, turning 40 this year.
All of that story inside of 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the good news, though. You got a lot of time left. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Doesn't feel like it sometimes, but.
Yeah. You wake up 10 years from now and this all could be in your past.
Yeah. That's true.
I hear you. Except I don't know what you're going to do about that. That's a tough addiction. Like, I mean, listen, alcohol is not like on your phone. You know what I mean? Like, at least you got to go buy it somewhere. Like, you probably can't even look at Instagram.
Yeah, I don't.
Everything's so sexual at this point. Like everything. Yeah. I've complained about it and joked about it a lot, but there's an entire generation of people that think that a job is like bouncing, and guys like doing thirst trap stuff. And like, there's just like, it's a culture at this point. So it's only going to get worse too. Like, because the line keeps getting pushed and pushed. Like you're 40, I'm 53. You probably could agree with this, but maybe your life is different. But I'm going to tell you that if you would have gone and found me 20 years ago and told me that a girl can make a living taking pictures of her feet, I'd be like, I don't understand what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, no, wait, what? And then you'd have to explain the future to me in a way that I'd be like, oh, well, like they sped up the delivery system for sex and digitized it. I was like, I'd have to be like, oh, that's crazy. It's not a thing I would have been able to imagine. So my point is like, I don't know what is going to happen by the time I'm 63, but I'm guessing it's going to make what's happening now look like romper room compared to what's going to be. So, I mean, I feel for you. I don't know how the hell you're supposed to avoid that. Plus on top of that, you're a person and you're, of a healthy age, and I'm sure you have a sex drive, and I don't know, man, seems like a lot. What do you guys talk about in that group that's valuable to you?
How to deal with life. How to deal with life on life's terms.
Because why? Because what happens that moves you in the direction you don't want to go?
When things don't go the way I want, then I try to control and manage and fix things and will it to be the way that I think it should be. And so what I get from the program is learning to accept reality, accept that things are the way they're meant to be, and that I don't know what's best, and I'm along for the ride.
And so if you feel like that and you slip and you take a drink, for example, like what does taking the drink accomplish when you feel like the way you just described?
That's what happens when I forget about the things I learned in recovery program.
Okay.
I'm trying to fix, manage, and control my life again.
Yeah, but how does a drink give you control back? That's what I don't understand.
Feel better in the moment.
It's a quick fix. Like everything's out of control, but I know if I take this drink and I hear that ice click that glass, and then I get this vibe from it, and I'm at least at a known quantity place. I put myself back in. Okay. And the porn does the same thing?
Yeah.
Interesting. You ever gamble? Like you ever slip down that one?
I used to play poker.
Did that do the same thing?
To a lesser extent, yeah.
Okay. Ready? Here's a weird question. Does managing diabetes give you any of that vibe?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I hear that from people sometimes. Yeah, it's weird to think that your kid's probably going to have a better health outcome, because of the way you're
want to control things.
Yeah, because you want to control things. That's really something.
Yeah.
Wow. My God. Is there anything we haven't talked about that we should have? Like, what am I missing here? Because I'm out of my depth on like 6 different things.
We didn't talk about my Hashimoto's, which I was recently diagnosed with, or my GLP medication.
Well, so tell me about it. What did you figure out first that you...
The Hashimoto's.
6
months ago, maybe. So actually, I think the day that I scheduled this with you, I got the diagnosis from my doctor. I knew my TSH was high. That had been tested before, but it was in range. So that's what the doctors would tell me. It's in range. Don't worry about it. So I went back and checked because I had listened to you and listened to some episodes about Hashimoto's and about thyroid, and heard that it can be high and still have these symptoms, these issues. So looked into it again and found out that when they said it was in range, it was actually 3.7. So I found a new doctor. I was trying to schedule with my doctor and I screwed up and ended up with a brand new doctor. Technology, I don't know. I was like on an app to schedule with my doctor, and I picked the wrong clinic, I guess, and ended up with a brand new doctor.
Happened to me with a haircut once. But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I showed up and I'm like, who are you? But yeah, I got you.
Got this new doctor. And I was like, my TSH is high. I want to be tested for, and my kid has diabetes. So I want to be tested for the autoimmune stuff. Mm-hmm. So he didn't want to. I was like, what? Why not? Why shouldn't they do it? And he was like, they have to take your blood. I don't care about that. Take the blood.
That's the barrier to entry? Okay.
Yeah, like, because I remember asking him, like, why not to do the test? Mm-hmm. And he had nothing. Yeah. Like, okay, do the test then. What are we talking about?
Yeah, I know, right?
So we did the test and tested positive for the antibodies. He said, you have Hashimoto's. Okay. I got in touch with an endocrinologist's office. I ended up just getting one on my own, just like found one and like, hey, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. Can I see an endocrinologist here? Like, they worked it out. I don't know what they did to do, but ended up seeing a new doctor with for an endocrinologist, and he ran all the tests again, got me on Synthroid, and switched to the generic levothyroxine. Mm-hmm. Got my TSH down to 1 point something, 1.5, I think.
And you felt better.
Yeah, I felt better.
What symptoms did it clear up for you?
Depression, anxiety, aches, joint aches. Yep. Those have gone away.
Hindsight, how long do you think you lived like that?
30 years.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that had anything to do with like some of the troubles you had in your personal relationships?
I've wondered that. I don't know if I'll ever know the answer, but that's crossed my mind.
Yeah, I imagine it does. So now, did that alone help you with any of your other problems that we talked about today? Or no, it didn't touch those? My
life gets better and better. It's progress. Yeah. I'm working on getting better. So it's progress, not perfection. It's always getting better. So
no, for sure.
Yeah. And so, I have less depression now, less anxiety, and all of it helps. The medication, the recovery stuff, all of it helps.
Yeah. No, people should look, especially people listening to this podcast. If you've got a bunch of autoimmune in your family, in your life or whatever, you should look into your thyroid. Just make sure it's okay, because the anxiety, the depression, the short-tempered, like things like that, like all that could be impacted there.
Yeah.
But how do you get to the GLP? Was your weight an issue?
A little bit. I had been on a roller coaster of weight for the last 6 years or something. Mm-hmm. 2017, I used to weigh just over 200 pounds. I'd finally crossed 200. I was inching towards 210. I was like feeling terrible about myself. So I made a change. I changed my diet. Try to stick to eating salad for lunch and portion control and doing all that stuff. And I really did make a lot of changes. And around that time, I cut out caffeine and soda mostly. I drink Sprite maybe once a week now. Mm-hmm. Made huge diet changes. Didn't really start exercise or anything. Towards the end, I was starting to run. But in 4 years, I lost 50 pounds.
Wow.
I was down to 160 pounds 4 years ago. Then, with all the issues going on in my marriage, some other things happened. I found out some other stuff that I didn't know, some snooping stuff. I discovered some things. And I can pinpoint, this sticks in my mind, because when I look at my weight over time, I can see there's a particular event that happened 4 years ago when my weight started increasing.
Really?
Yeah, it was a traumatic discovery.
Okay.
So from that point 4 years ago, I started gaining weight again, and now I'm coming up to 200 again. And so when divorce started, especially once I moved out, I was like, okay, I'm going to start going to the gym. I got a personal trainer. I was working on my diet, exercise, increased protein, going to the gym 3 times a week, doing what you're supposed to do and not making any progress.
And this time it didn't help.
Yeah. So finally, a month ago, they started me on the GLP. Couldn't get the name brand stuff. They put me on the compound. My insurance wouldn't cover it.
Didn't that just change? Aren't they not allowed to compound it anymore?
I don't know. I got it a month ago.
Oh.
I have a vial in my fridge.
Which compound?
Tirzepatide.
Ooh, hold on a second.
I'm saying that wrong.
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Hold on a second.
Oh, no.
But in the meantime, tell me how that helped.
It helps my digestion. You talked about GLP deficiency. Mm-hmm. I think I have that too.
Okay.
Because I was having, for the past year and a half, I've been having digestion issues, and like, not to be gross, but like when I eat food, it comes out of me within 2 hours.
Okay.
I was hungry all the time. I was trying to eat healthy snacks, but I was eating a lot. And I think that's counterproductive to trying to lose weight. Once I started the GLP medication, the next day, my bowels were working better. My hunger was decreased. I was feeling great. It made a night and day difference. Like as soon as I started taking the medication, my stomach seemed to be working correctly.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it significantly bettered my life and my day to day. I got up this morning and I rode for a half an hour. That's like the first thing I did today, which is not a thing Scott used to do. I'll eat normally, eliminate normally. My energy's better, everything. But yeah. I have to tell you, today is March 27th. This article is 3 days old.
Oh, no.
Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have scored big wins from the FDA in recent months as the agency cracks down on copycat versions of their GLP-1 blockbusters. Now, as the battle with compound GLPs comes to an end, both pharma giants are ramping up their direct-to-consumer offerings in the obesity space. So the FDA declared last month that the shortage of semaglutide, the active ingredient for Novo's Wegovy and Ozempic, has been resolved, a decision that restricts pharmacies from manufacturing compounded versions of the drug. The agency did the same for Lilly's tirzepatide, found in the obesity and diabetes meds Zepbound and Mounjaro late last year. So I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't know that you're going to be in the same boat the next time you try to get it against. You should start looking now about what to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So the idea is that if the FDA says there's a shortage of something, then compound pharmacies are allowed to make it. And it sounds like that the companies must have got together and, with the FDA in court and said, look, there's no shortage, and got the shortage designation lifted, and now you can't compound it.
Oh, that sucks.
Your insurance maybe cover it for other reasons?
If I get fatter, maybe.
Yeah, that's not the way we want to go. I was going to ask you this unrelated to this, but any type 2 in your family, your parents, your grandparents, anything like that?
My mom's type 2. I'm pre-diabetic.
Oh, cha-ching. There you go. You get your GLP for that, can't you?
I don't know if I can. I'll try that.
Not for pre-diabetes, maybe, but...
Yeah. That's what I mean about getting fatter. If I let the diabetes go and push for try to get myself type 2 diabetes, then I can maybe get it.
What a system, huh?
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Can't get it to keep yourself from being pre-diabetic. But listen, 2 years ago, someone in my extended family was told the same thing. She was told by a doctor, if you can just get your A1C up another 0.3, we can give it to you. So just,
that's terrible.
Yeah, just go, do what you're doing and keep ignoring your health, and come back in a month and we'll check your A1C again and see if we can't get you that GLP medication. I was like, wow, what a system. Yeah.
Terrible. I might be in the same boat.
Yeah, but you're paying cash for it, right?
Yeah, I'm paying cash.
Well, the truth is that at this point, I don't know what you're paying for it, but the cash price might not be, I don't think it's what it used to be.
I want to say it was like $600 or $700 a month.
What are you paying now?
$150.
That's a big difference. Yeah. No, never mind. It's not going to be that cheap. Yeah. Jeez. All right. I did not want to be the bearer of bad news.
Yeah.
But as you said it, I thought, I think I know something. Let me check. Oh man. I'm sorry. That I feel like I ruined your day. If somebody told me I couldn't have the magic juice anymore, I'd be devastated. So I feel like I know how you are feeling in the moment, and it's
Yeah. I have enough to last me another month, I think, because I'm only on the 50 units now. I've been doing 25 units, and they set up at 50 units after 4 weeks. So
yeah, are you trying to lose weight still, or are you just trying to get all those other benefits with digestion and all that other stuff?
Both.
Yeah. I was going to say, you can go down, like, I don't know how you shoot it. Do you shoot it with a pen, or is it in a vial?
I have a needle. I have a vial. Draw it from the vial, inject in my stomach.
Yeah. I mean, you can try cutting back a little bit to make it last a little longer to see if you can get some impact from it still. But you're in a situation where you're trying to go up in dose, not down.
Well, I've been doing great with the dose I've been on.
Oh, all right. Awesome. Yeah.
So maybe that's an option. Just stay at the low dose for longer.
try to buy yourself some more time to figure it out. I don't know what the answer. I honestly, it's so new. I don't know what the answer is right now, but you should definitely do some Googling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No, it's not. Not after the conversation we had. I literally feel like it's my fault. The next bad thing that happens to you now.
And this gets me started on the path, on the journey, and so I try to make the best of what I have left of it and see what happens next.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I in the end, a lot of people are using it. I can't imagine that they're just going to freeze everybody out and nothing's going to come of it. Somebody's going to push back on the pushback at some point. So yeah. I mean, or more insurance is going to have to start covering it for different reasons. You got to imagine if you're if you're Lilly and Novo, you must be out there doing all kinds of like testing on all different kind of use scenarios. They had to have looked and said, what are people using this for? We got to get all this FDA approved because they want to sell it. Yeah. They're not in the business of not selling that stuff. So,
right. So yeah, I guess that means maybe I'll be without it for a while, but hopefully down the road.
Yeah. I can't see a world where they don't find every pathway available to selling it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That sounds like dastardly, but like, and I'm sure it is on some levels, but also it is helping people with a ton of different things. What about people out there that are like, I don't know, addressing their PCOS with it, or, you know, there's a lot of other reasons people are using it. It's helping them. I don't see a world where you can make people's lives that much better and then go, oh, I was kidding. You know, like you can't have it. Like something's going to get worked out is what I'm saying. But again, it's not fair for you in the meantime. And it certainly doesn't make it better.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. We've been talking for an hour and a half, so I'm going to tell you thank you very much. I really appreciate this. It's funny. I knew you had an addiction recovery story, but it was a left turn for me. I didn't realize what you were going to say. And again, I just have to tell you, I think it was incredibly brave for you to share that. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And one more mention.
Please.
Juice Cruise coming up. I'm going to be there.
Oh, awesome.
I'm going to meet you on the cruise.
Sure.
And anybody listening, come join us. Meet me.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Like, listen, I didn't know I could turn it into a dating thing for everybody. Yeah.
I was about to say that, but
100 listeners, myself. I'm so close to being able to say Erica is going to be there too. I'm working that out. We're going on a cruise together for, was it 5 nights, right?
Yeah, I think so. Monday 5 nights in June.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome.
Bringing the kids will be. Yeah, we're all set to go.
We've been talking about it a lot this week. I had a couple of meetings about it this week, and we're setting up some sponsors. So you guys get like, you know, grab bags and stuff like that. And we're trying to get a couple other things set up.
Cool.
It's just really, it's super exciting. Like we're already talking about doing it again next year. So
wow.
Everyone who's involved in getting it going is super excited. I am genuinely, like my wife said, how do you see these 5 days for you? And I was like, well, I just think I'm going to get to meet a lot of people and talk to them and hear a lot of stories. And I was like, that's really kind of all I want out of it is, you know, just to meet everybody. And I think I can accomplish that in 5 days. It'll be I'm sure my voice will be shot somewhere around Thursday. I've met so many of you like digitally, and I've met so many of you like in passing at conferences and stuff like that. But like just really like almost living together for a few days, I just think is another level of getting to know people, and through getting to know them, you get more of the depth of their story. Because I mean, you just did it over the last 90 minutes, man. Like you said things, you're not the only one. You know what I mean? There are plenty of people in your situation, and these just are not things that we talk about. And I think until we understand these things about each other, it's more difficult to, I don't know, just to see yourself in other people, maybe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value in. And anyway, that's what I'm hoping to do. I'm hoping to see inside of people and hear as much about them as they're willing to share. So that's what I think.
I'm looking forward to meeting the other people who deal with this with diabetes. I'm hoping my kid meets some other kids and maybe meet some of the Facebook regulars that I kind of getting to know from the Facebook group.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going, but I'm hoping some of the regulars are going, frequent commenters.
I think they are. It's going to be a good time. And then from there, and seriously, the reason we're talking about next year already is this is a big undertaking to get this launched and everything. You know, it's a heck of a thing to make out of nothingness, you know?
Yeah. So while you're planning it, let's just start planning the next one, right? I get it.
I really do feel like maybe this one will create the excitement that would let the next one be even bigger, which would let us bring more speakers and really just try to turn it into something. So anyway, that's the goal.
Be able to capitalize on the excitement, the post-cruise excitement that people will have.
I don't think anything's going to sell another cruise better than pictures of the cruise. So that's what we're shooting for. All right. Well, awesome. Actually, April, May, June, this will have come out after the cruise. So hopefully hopefully everybody listening had a good time. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Hold on one second for me. This is awesome. Thank you. This episode was sponsored by Touched by Type 1. I want you to go find them on Facebook, Instagram, and give them a follow, and then head to touchedbytype1.org where you're going to learn all about their programs and resources for people with type 1 diabetes. The podcast episode that you just enjoyed was sponsored by Eversense CGM. They make the Eversense 365. That thing lasts a whole year. One insertion every year? Come on. You probably feel like I'm messing with you, but I'm not. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox. Hey, thanks for listening all the way to the end. I really appreciate your loyalty and listenership. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. If you're living with type 1 diabetes, the After Dark collection from the Juicebox Podcast is the only place to hear the stories that no one else talks about. From drugs to depression, self-harm, trauma, addiction, and so much more. Go to juiceboxpodcast.com, up in the menu, and click on After Dark. There you'll see a full list of all of the After Dark episodes. Hey, what's up, everybody? If you've noticed that the podcast sounds better and you're thinking like, how does that happen? What you're hearing is Rob at Wrong Way Recording doing his magic to these files. So if you want him to do his magic to you, wrongwayrecording.com. You got a podcast? You want somebody to edit it? You want Rob.